Welcome to the Sunday football program at the Dr. Jimbo Love Show. I'm here with Seth, Mathew at Brothers. We're at Brothers in Northfield. If you're not doing anything today, please come on down and check us out. How many different TVs do we have here today?
So total we have 36 to 40 in the restaurant. If we open the upstairs, we had 3 additional more. There's patio TVs. They're better for the night game. During the day, there's a little bit of glare of sun. But we have plenty of seating and plenty of TVs for everybody to come watch.
Excellent. If you get down here early enough, you can pretty much ask Seth to put whatever TV wherever you'd like to sit to the game that you want to see. So we're going to get into just some of the different games today, but let's quickly talk a little bit about college football yesterday. We had some major things happen. Clemson lost to NC State 27-21 in overtime. Looks like Clemson is pretty much done for the top 4 for the year. There's not anything they can do going forward that's going to put them in that Final Four.
I mean, not only did they lose a bunch of players, but they also lost, their main guy, Trevor Lawrence. They lost their number 1 wide receiver. And
NTM.
Yeah, and
running back.
You lost a bunch of other players. So, it's a rebuild year. It didn't look like a rebuild year at first, but we're seeing it's a rebuild year this year.
Absolutely. And then, of course, down in the SEC South, we see that Arkansas is for real. They beat A&M, and I believe that A&M, A&M came out here and laid an egg against CU, and I think it was inevitable that we would see the decline of A&M. I didn't see them going really that far this year as far as staying undefeated.
Well, you look at Arkansas, they were an unranked team to begin with. Like I said earlier in the program a couple shows ago, is you can't justify these rankings. They're based on previous years. Arkansas has been a struggling team. They haven't started out 3-0 since 2003, or maybe it was 4-0, but again, it's been a long time since they've been relevant. Now, they're going to run into Alabama later in the season, and that's going to be the true test. Alabama's really smoked every single opponent they've ever had. They had a close one with Florida, but did anyone really doubt Alabama? I don't think anyone really did.
No, not at all. And then one of these games is kind of close to Seth's heart. Minnesota, who came in here and held CU to 72 total offensive yards, goes and plays Bowling Green. And what happened there, Seth?
Well, and I think what happened, Minnesota dropped the ball. They lost by 4 points. The biggest thing I think what happened is they were looking farther down the schedule. Nobody really batted an eye at Bowling Green. You went to Bowling Green, and you were living high off of just destroying CU, and you end up just getting beat. You can't be looking ahead in college football. You got to come prepared for every single game.
No, these proverbial Division I AA schools that they used to call them can, with their 3- and 4-star players, some of them have only 2-star players. These gentlemen, once they get on campus, a lot of great things happen. There's a lot of transformation. And let's not forget, there's a lot of up-and-coming coaches that we don't know about who are coaching these kids up. And remember, it's their Super Bowl of the year when they come in to play. Let's talk a little bit about Colorado State really representing well and going to Iowa and holding tough and being up 14-7 at one point in time. What were your impressions of the CU game? Did you get a chance to start this Colorado State game?
So Colorado State held in there. You look at it, Colorado State, from previous work, didn't look like they'd even hang in there with Iowa at all. Iowa's destroyed a lot of teams. They're a solid program. Great defense, great running back, but CSU really came in with a great game plan, and they actually held in there. At one point, I was questioning if they were going to take the upset. That's 2 games now for the state of Colorado. You had CU represented against Texas A&M and CSU representing against Iowa. That these football programs are no joke. They may take the loss in both, but you held in there with the best of the best.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, Wyoming, we can't leave them out. They went out to Connecticut, played a pretty good ball game, ended up winning 24-22. That was kind of a weird thing. It was really hard. I couldn't find it anywhere. It wasn't broadcast anywhere, and I wasn't going to be able to stream it through the Wyoming broadcast. Did you see that at all here yesterday? Was it on TV?
I didn't watch that game. We had requests for Boise State and other games,
right.
But Wyoming's that sneak bro. What people forget is Josh Allen came from that program, and he did a great job there. And even when he was there, they didn't get the most coverage. So when you get these smaller schools, they're sneakily good. You look at Trey Lance that's in San Francisco. How many North Dakota State games did you see? So these are always fun games to watch because they give you these sneaky high picks that are coming in the NFL. Because you're all going to watch your Alabama, your top teams that are going to come in, Georgia, Arkansas. But you never watch the little guy, and the little guy is the one that typically, lately in the NFL, has produced the best players.
Well, I mean, look at Delaware. Delaware had Joe Flacco. Now, Flacco did very well. This is a number of years ago, but he couldn't make it at Pitt. Pitt didn't want to play him. He went over to Delaware and ended up doing extremely well in the NFL.
Well, and didn't Aaron Rodgers come from Vanderbilt?
He was from Cal.
Oh, he did come from Cal.
So there was more of a. But then you got Carson Wentz, who came. That was North Dakota State, right?
Yeah.
That's where he came out of. And we can look back as far as Jeff George coming out of some things, and Tony Romo as well, in Northern Illinois, I believe, or something like that.
And they just made a new movie on Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner, he was in arena football.
Yeah, well, he was bagging groceries before he was in arena football.
Didn't even make the NFL. Yeah. And now look at him, Super Bowl winner, great quarterback, did amazing. You never see these guys coming. All the guys. Now you have your Trevor Lawrence, and I'm not going to knock him quite yet. But you always have these big guys that come in, and everyone has high expectations, and they most of the time flop. And then you get this guy that has no expectations, and they destroy the NFL.
Well, they have a little bit of chip on their shoulder too, so when they come in, they're playing that much harder, and they don't get the second and third chance. Like with Wentz, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. But if he has a bad year this year, you're not going to see Carson Wentz ever get another chance to be a starting quarterback. Do you think?
Probably not after this one, but he does have something working for him. He does have injuries that they can write it off. He might be able to prolong it for another year. I mean, you look at Teddy B here in Denver. Everyone counted him out. He was awesome in Minnesota. I wouldn't say he was elite back then. He was still young, but then he had a significant injury that we never thought we'd see him start again.
No. And, he came from Louisville, which is really not a program that a lot of people think about, and now that Lamar Jackson came out of there, of course, it's kind of on the radar. But back then it wasn't. So, all right. Well, let's transition. We'll look a little bit into some of the games today. Pittsburgh versus Cincinnati. Again, it has some personal things for me. I am very upset that they left Dante Johnson in the game for a garbage play that ended up hurting his knee, and now he's not playing today. Ben is toughing it out with his pectoral. He'll be starting. TJ Watt, again, a holdout. He had to hold out for that big contract, and unfortunately you're seeing that he has a groin injury, and that can be an injury that can stick with him for the rest of the season. I certainly do not hope.
Well, and it's weird because as soon as people get paid, it seems like they get injured more and more. But the big thing with Big Ben, I wouldn't worry about it.
No, I think
when has Big Ben not played with an injury? He'll go out there and he'll still run that game. Cincinnati, you had a couple good games. You beat Minnesota. You held in there against Chicago. But I think this is going to be the real turning point. I think Pittsburgh, they should be upset about that loss to the Raiders this last week. And they're going to come in, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a beat by over 2 touchdowns.
That would make me very happy.
Najari Harris, he's going to figure things out. Now the question is it this week? Is it week 6? Typically, the running back and quarterback, when you start as a rookie, it takes you at least 6 weeks for you to figure it out, get the new game pace. But I think Najari Harris is eventually going to figure this out, and he's going to start putting up some big numbers here in the near future.
Yeah. Let's see what happens. Let's see if Joe Burrow can stand up to the pressure of the Steeler defense, and let's see if Pittsburgh goes back to their traditional roots of Blitzburgh, puts a little pressure on this second-year quarterback, who really basically is a rookie because he got hurt so early last year.
It's true.
LA versus Tampa, what stands out to you about that one?
So this is a tough game. This is a game I've been going back and forth all week. So I'm a big fan of Matt Stafford. I just like his work ethic. I like how much he has a chip on his shoulder. I like that he played in Detroit for as long as he did, and I think Detroit fans, even though he left you still got to be happy with him. He stuck with you longer than any of us ever thought he should have.
If he just hadn't gone to Georgia, I could be a fan.
Yes.
But I'm a South Carolina alum, I can't.
Coming to this game, Antonio Brown's out, Henderson's out, but that's not too significant. It's kind of like an eye for an eye thing there for me. But the big thing is Tampa already proved themselves. Tom Brady won a Super Bowl. He already took this to the next level. He doesn't really have any pressure coming to this game. He's going to the LA Rams. But I think the LA Rams have the biggest chip on their shoulder right now. They got to prove that, hey, we got a new quarterback, we're here. And so that's the biggest thing right now. And I think the LA Rams are going to win this game because they're going to be playing with a playoff intensity today. And I don't think Tampa Bay is going to come out with that same intensity because they take one loss. Tom Brady started out 0-2, 0-3 before, and he still gets to the Super Bowl. So he has no pressure over one game. The Rams are trying to prove to the world that they deserve to be there, and you know what? I think today's the day that they show them, and I wouldn't be surprised. Now, I think it's going to be a close game, but I think they're going to run them over.
Yep. Well, good deal. Now, we talk about the Broncos versus the Jets. You know, of course, we're here in Denver. It's an early start today, folks. It's a 2:10 kickoff. Normally, it's a 2:25.
Yeah, that's when most of the other games are.
So yeah, just be aware of that. So don't forget to turn your TVs on. I think what you're going to see is you're going to see a Broncos team that really has a chance to win, and I kind of predict they're going to win by 14 to 21 points. I think it's a 2 to 3 football or touchdown advantage for the Broncos.
We're running into something here. Is you have a rookie quarterback in the New York Jets coming out of BYU. He threw 4 picks last week. Now, when you throw that early in your career, is he going to be able to bounce back? This isn't the best defense to bounce back on. Like, I think he might throw less than 4 picks. He might throw 2, 3, but it's going to be in his head all single game.
And is Chubb back for the Broncos?
Chubb is not. Chubb is going to be out for, yep. So the Broncos made, in my personal opinion, a boneheaded mistake. You had an easy schedule to start. You put him in. He had a bone spur, so no matter what, he's going to have his surgery. But my question is, why wasn't this addressed in the offseason?
Yeah. Well, they did on the other foot. In May, he had the bone spur surgery, but you're right. Why would you wait till May to do the bone spur surgery when the season for them basically was over in November last year?
Yeah.
You know?
And so you're still going to see the Broncos win. Broncos fans, I don't want to get your hopes up because you're going to start out 3-0. And next week when we talk about it more, you're going to run into a Baltimore Ravens. Now they're banged up. You might start out 4-0. But then we start going into the Raiders. We're going to start going into the actual competition. Now your division has a lot of teams that are doing well. Kansas City, even though they took a loss. You have the Raiders. Chargers are probably going to lose today against Kansas City. But you're running into a very tough division here. So,
yeah, I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting. Now, you know, one thing we forgot to say about the AFC North is that each team is 1-1. So this Cincinnati-Pittsburgh game is a big interdivision rivalry. What are your feelings on the 49ers-Packers with the Brady, not Brady, but I mean Aaron Rodgers versus Matthew Stafford, your guy?
No, Aaron Rodgers versus Jimmy Garoppolo. But here's the thing. Aaron Rodgers still is salty from when he was drafted. He wanted to go to San Francisco. He came from Cal. He wanted to be there. And you didn't take him. He's now trying to get out of there. People keep saying San Francisco might be the place. They even talked about Denver. But typically, he's never proven anything against San Francisco. But this is a different year this year. He started out very poorly. He beat a Detroit Lions team that, no offense to the Detroit Lions, I think a lot of people are going to beat you this year. You are a rebuilding young team, so no offense there. But I think Aaron Rodgers comes out today and he finally puts his mark on San Francisco. Now, his QBR when he's played San Francisco is somewhere around 70.
No kidding.
And
well, his first week, what was it, 1.2 fantasy points Rodgers had?
And so you're really running into a time to prove himself, and this is a perfect game. I think you're going to see a different game script. I think you're going to see Devontae Adams a lot more involved this time. It's not going to be the Aaron Jones show because San Francisco is really good against the run. But San Francisco also doesn't have a running back. Now, the biggest question about this game is, can Green Bay's defense even exist? They are the worst defense that I have seen play this year. The fact that the Detroit Lions looked like a playoff contender that first half of that game. They figured it out, but it was rough to watch. It was rough to watch week 1. So if Green Bay's D can show up, help Aaron Rodgers a little bit, they're going to win that game.
Interesting. And then, of course, the Bears versus Cleveland, with Cleveland in their season-opening home game. Again, what are your feelings on that? I mean, Cleveland has played pretty intermittently. It's going to be a lot on Brady, on Mayfield. We'll see how he does today.
I think the big thing here is I think Cleveland's going to show up. Cleveland's going to be Cleveland, and they're going to play their normal game plan. Chicago needs to figure something out. We're now on your third quarterback because of an injury to Andy Dalton.
That's right.
But you have the new guy in, and the biggest criticism I've heard from around watching all the shows is, will Nagy be able to change his game plan? Because he's kind of like a dinosaur. He runs a game plan. It doesn't matter what personnel. I'll even say he kind of hindered Mitch Trubinsky's growth because you see him in Buffalo now as the backup. He looks amazing. So if he's going to run the same game plan that he had for Andy Dalton, this kid is going to get lit up today. And he's not going to really stand a chance. And then you got to start looking at, all right, does it matter who we bring in, or do we need to change the coach? And I think that's going to be a big thing. I bet you Cincinnati wins by over a touch, or not Cincinnati, well,
You think
Cleveland's going to win by over a touchdown.
Okay. Interesting. Well, my best friend is a big Browns fan, and as much as I'm happy for him that football's relevant for him again in Cleveland, as a Steelers fan, it's very hard for me to root for the Browns at all ever. So, and then you've got a brother-in-law over there that's a big Mayfield fan.
Wearing his Baker Mayfield jersey every single day. He started out as an OU fan, so
you got to respect that.
Yeah.
He follows a player to a team, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with that at all, and I respect that tremendously.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, we want to talk a little bit about Partners Exteriors. Again, it's a roofing company that's a father and son organization. If you have any problems with anything, they're the one-stop shop. Fascia, fencing, even painting they will do for you. Again, we're running out of the storm season now, thank God. But this is always a good time to upgrade to maybe a better, or maybe a Class 4 shingle. So don't forget to give a call to 303-519-5579 for Partner Exteriors. Seth, again, we're going to talk a little bit about Brothers Bar and Grill here in Northfield. What have you got going on this week?
So this week right now we got football on in the background, as you guys can probably hear. People are starting to stroll in for the games. If you show up at the beginning of the game, you're guaranteed a TV for your team. If you show up at halftime, that gets a little bit more difficult because we do get a pretty big crowd. Right now, the Cleveland game is up behind us, and basically your awesome bar food, great drink specials, bottomless mimosas until 2 o'clock. So that's going to lead you into the Broncos game. And then we have personal draft pitchers and original Long Island pitchers, 32 ounces for $7, going from 2 to 6 o'clock, leading you to the night game.
Boy, I used to drink those when I come in here as a customer, and they will get you where you need to be, trust me. Well, excellent. Well, make sure you come back next week. We're going to have a little bit more extended show. We're definitely going to talk about college football next week. We've got some different highlighted games that we'll talk about. And we want to thank you for coming and watching Dr. Jimbo Love Show. Feel free to look for us on Spotify, also YouTube. It's now allowing us to put up videos, so that's nice, a big step for us. We had to go through a little bit of a small vetting process with them. Seth, anything else that you wanted to say?
Not a lot right now. I mean, right now, all the games seem pretty clear-cut. The only ones that are toss-up, if you're a sports bettor, I would steer clear, unless you want that Hail Mary, is Rams Tampa Bay is going to be a close one. Dallas Philadelphia, rivalry game you can't predict. And, we didn't even touch on Minnesota, but the Minnesota Vikings, do not bet on them this week.
Don't bet on Minnesota. Who are they playing?
They're playing Seattle.
Okay.
Now, Russell Wilson's never lost to Minnesota. He should have. They missed a 27-yard field goal. Embarrassing. Just like last week. But no Dalvin Cook. The whole game plan's around Dalvin Cook. He's not there. So take Seattle, 100%. You can put that as a lock. You're going to guarantee that.
And the other lock is I would take the Broncos and the points. I think that's going to be a pretty safe bet for you as well. Well, thank you very much, folks. Come on back next week. Get out there, turn on your TVs, get down here to Brothers. Enjoy some of the best food that I've tasted. It's got amazing comfort food here. Gator balls, absolutely off the charts. Their wings are breaded style wings that they're a little bit better. Well, they're a lot better than Hooters wings, but it's the same style of consistency.
Yeah, you just had the spicy garlic.
Oh my God! Matter of fact, I'm having another order as soon as we get off the air here. So thank you very much, and we will look for you guys next week. In the meantime, keep looking for KOA. We're hoping negotiating some airtime right now. So that'd be really great if we were there. And we'll have a lot better microphones. We'll have a lot better equipment. You'll be able to hear us better, and of course we'll have editing and music as well. So thank you very much, and we will see you next week.
See you guys.